There are two types of witnesses in a DWI case. There are the witnesses that were with the defendant and can testify what the defendant actually had to drink. And there are witnesses who were not with the defendant but can testify in their opinion if the defendant looks normal on the videotape and as to the defendant's normal drinking habits. Initially, we'll go over the questions of the people who were not with the defendant. The second part will be specific questions for people who were with the defendant when he was drinking. State your name, please. What is your occupation? Are you married? Do you have any children? Where did you go to high school? Where did you go to college? Are you involved with any civic or charitable activities in the community? How long have you known the defendant? How often do you drink alcoholic beverages with the defendant? How much does the defendant normally drink? What is the defendant's favorite drink? What is your understanding of the legal definition of intoxication? What is your definition of the word drunk? Can someone be intoxicated and not be drunk? How often does the defendant become intoxicated? How often does the defendant get drunk? Isn't it true that you are a friend of the defendant and you do not want anything bad to happen to him? Isn't it true that you would do anything in your power to help the defendant? Have you seen the video made of the defendant the night he was arrested? Wouldn't you agree that the defendant made mistakes on the video that he would not have made if he had not been intoxicated? You will agree the defendant can normally recite his ABCs? Have you ever seen the defendant intoxicated? How can you tell when the defendant is intoxicated? Would you describe the defendant as a heavy drinker or a light drinker? Is the defendant the type of person who can consume a large quantity of alcohol and not show it? Is the defendant the type of person who is affected by a small amount of alcohol? How many drinks does it take for the defendant to be intoxicated? You would agree that the defendant should have no problems counting. How would you describe the athletic ability of the defendant? You will agree the defendant should have no problems with his balance. Is the defendant's speech normally slurred? Does the defendant normally sway while he is standing? Do you know the defendant's reputation in the community for sobriety? Is the defendant's reputation in the community for sobriety good or bad? Do you know the defendant's reputation in the community for veracity? In other words, for telling the truth? What is the defendant's reputation in the community for veracity? Is it good or bad? Who is the better judge of intoxication? Someone who's been drinking alcohol or someone who's had no alcohol to drink?